Hi, good afternoon. Valerie Milano here from the Hollywood Times, a senior editor, and also with Aspiring Magazine back east. I'm so happy to have our guest here today, and we're going to let him introduce himself. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Hey, I'm Robert Downs. I am a photographer here in Los Angeles. I specialize in the music industry as well as branding and a few other interesting things. Good to be with you today, Valerie.
Yay. Thank you. Ma'am, a little bit. And I know probably you've been asked this question lots of times, but what first drew you to photography and how did you decide to make it your career?
Photography was an easy career for me. My father was a photographer at the Atlanta Journal and Constitution, and I'm lucky enough to be one of these kids that knew what he wanted to be, right out the door. I begged my father to go to work with him as a kid, so he would take me along with all the assignments, and everybody at the AJC took me under their wing, but I was only like 13 years old, so I actually got published for my first time at the bright age of 13, which to this day I am not sure whether that was a cruel joke by the editors or if I had some talent, but regardless, I was completely hooked. On my mom's side, my mom was an artist, so. That's what you get. Artsy fartsy photographer
Yeah.
that loves music and has been able to make it a career for the last 30 years.
Nice. So, how would you describe your photographic style? And are there any influences or artists that have shaped the way that you want to approach your work?
Yeah, I try to cross lines in photography. I mean it's a great thing to be a photographer. It's another thing to really understand light. And yes, I've had the not only the pleasure to have people that I admired, I've had the pleasure to work with them. Particularly people like Patrick DeMarchile, who is lead shooter at Vogue magazine in New York. I've also had the pleasure to follow and get to know people like Craig Cutler, who is another communication arts photographer who's dedicated to light and beauty. And it's just been the pleasure of my life, not only to be influenced by these people, but to actually get to know them and work for them, as an assistant coming up. So, and I can't go without mentioning my full mentor, Jerry Burns, who took me in as a Grom and brought me up in the studio of Hard Knocks, where I learned probably most everything there is to know about the grit of being a photographer. It's one thing to be good at what you do. It's another thing to be able to migrate your way through the times of being a photographer. And if without for that fireball of a mentor I had, I don't think I'd ever made it through the first week.
I hear you. Well, you've worked across various genres of photography. Do you have a favorite subject or type of photography that you're most passionate about?
Music. I love working with music. I love working with musicians. I love the entire vibe. I mean, it's absolutely positively sure when I'm around these situations that I'm in the right place. I mean, there are a lot of times when I'm with bands and things like even backstage, I don't even wear a pass or anything, and it's been the biggest compliment of my life, really, to be with these guys and to be accepted into those situations. I think I always look at those types of places as like, hallowed ground, and it's just been a dream come true, honestly. I can't even, I mean, I've loved music for such a long time, and then like I said, the ability to be in these rooms and being these places with people that I've admired my entire life is just I just pinch me, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I know NAM is coming up this week, and I know we're both preparing for it in our own way. How long have you been coming to NAM? And you live in Los Angeles, right?
I do live in LA, yeah. I've been coming to NAM in summer NAM in Nashville for, oh man, probably 20 years or something like that. It's been a really long time. but it's always sort of an old home week. I get to visit with a lot of the companies that use my photography for their advertising and such, and of course I get to run into guys that have been on tour for a long time, and it's right now it's January, so people are just getting ready to go back out, so it's kind of a fun time to hang and see everybody before it gets serious.
Yeah. What have you heard about NAM this year? I mean, are you looking forward to anything in particular, or are you just going to kind of play it by ear?
I'm looking forward to, yeah, I have heard a few, things, and the biggest thing I mean, the biggest thing I've heard is that there's been a bit of a return to NAMM. Some of the bigger brands are going to be back this year, and I think what I love most about that is it's the bigger brands seem to be returning because they kind of feel like it's like an ocean rise, like when the tide rises, everybody around them rises. So with the attraction of bigger brands coming back to NAM, that's just going to bring everybody up. The smaller guys that are downstairs are going to see more traffic. Everybody's going to get more traffic. But it got pretty slim there for a good while. Like, it was not a lot of reasons to go to NAM because so many brands that you know and love just weren't going to be there. So it's exciting to have some bigger people showing back up and doing their thing. So I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Um, so I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. Can you walk us through your creative process when preparing for a photo shoot?
Well, depending on the shoot, you want to say a music shoot or
Yeah,
well,
since
I
that's your
would say
favorite.
kind of with anybody really. It's always the amount of research that goes into doing you know, a real photo shoot. Like, let's take someone like Travis Barker, for instance. Big time serious musician. Uh, it starts weeks before I even, get into it with him. Like, I want to know who he's listening to, what he's up to, and all those kinds of things. So my most of what I do is preparation. I'm at a point in my career now where the mathematics of photography, the what I want to do, it's already happening for me. I know 100% what an image is going to look like before I even get to the shoot. Now,
Interesting.
that might sound heady, but that's pretty much 99% of the time. I draw things out. I really think about how things how things I want to go, how things I need to go. They don't always go that way, but most of the time they do. And I think that's what sort of separated me from a lot of ad photographers, especially when it comes down to larger talent, because I get in there and there is no like, hey, what do you want to do? Or hey, this is cool. Like I'm already on it. People like Travis have me you know, in their studios 2 hours, hour ahead before the shoot actually takes place. And there's been a number of times where he's shown up, he's looked at me and said, "Ready?" And I say, "Ready." And I say, yeah, and we go right to it. And by that time, I have 3 or 4 different locations set up, lit, ready to go. I've shot entire interviews, entire magazine spreads in under an hour before with these people. And it's a I think it's respectful to the artist's time because people like Travis, they don't have time for this stuff. I mean the man's running how many companies? He's got wives and kids, and a photo shoot is not top of his list. So I always try to make it, you know, very respectful towards the artists and the people like that and give them the time that they give me and not waste their time. So it's a lot of that. I also am really taken over by a lot of different like paintings and artists, usually a trip to the museum to see something that fascinates me, something that's probably already been done before and how I can recreate that with light. So I mean there's not a lot of like new going on here, I mean, everything's sort of been done before in a lot of ways, but
Yeah. Well, I know that I have a
I
lot
get
of,
to put my little something on it.
yeah, cool. I know that I have a lot of
You have a
questions.
lot of what?
I know that I have a lot of other questions, but I think I'm going to wait until I see you at NAM. Where is there any
Okay.
Is there any place that our viewers and our readers, if they want to reach out to you, social media, website, how can they reach you?
Best place to find me is Robert Downs Photography. All things Robert Downs Photography, whether that's .com, Facebook, Instagram. We have a brand new website that's full of not just images, but things you can purchase. We have a store nowadays where you can get RDP gear and you can, oh man, we have coffee cups and wrapping paper and everything you could. And if you want to hire me gig, Robert say hi at NAM. Please get on my schedule. There is a virtual schedule on that site, and I'll be around. So I try to stay pretty loose at NAM. The things that happen.
We're the Hollywood Times. Today is our website, and the Hollywood Times official is our YouTube channel. And thank you again, Robert, and keep up the great work. And look forward to seeing you during the week.
Hey, thanks for our time, Valerie, and I'll see
Got it.
you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.